However, beneath these efforts lie growing concerns that threaten to undermine progress achieved. One of the most pressing issues is the proliferation of the deep-sea port projects across the country. While developments such as the Lekki deep-sea port have been hailed as milestones in modern port infrastructure, questions are being raised about strategic coordination, economic viability, and the risk of overcapacity. Are these projects driven by national demand and long-term planning, or are they evolving in silos without a coherent master plan? Equally troubling is the concern over regulatory gaps within the maritime sector. Despite the presence of multiple agencies, stakeholders often point to overlaps, weak enforcement, and in some cases, outright non-regulation in critical areas of operation. So, 3 years after the launch of the Blue Economy Agenda, is Nigeria building a sustainable and well-regulated maritime future, or simply expanding capacity without coordination and control? This is the focus of our discourse today, as we'll be joined by someone who understands the sector to unpack these issues and chart a way forward. He is Elder Asobek's convener, Maritime Elders Forum. Before we meet with him, let's update you with topical national issues. Now, multiple explosions occurred on Monday night. That was March 16, 2026, in Maiduguri, Borno State. At least 3 to 5 blasts were reported across different parts of the city. The attacks targeted busy civilian areas, including the modern market, the post office area, University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, parts of the Kaleri neighborhood. The police has confirmed that the attacks were carried out by suspected suicide bombers. According to the public relations officer of the police, 23 persons were killed and 108 injured. Preliminary investigations point clearly to coordinated suicide attacks at multiple locations. AIT will keep you posted as the developments unfold. Now, President Bola Tinubu has sworn in Taiwo Oyedele as Minister of State for Finance. He knows him too well. He served as a special advisor and the man that gave birth to the new tax laws.
And Taiwo, I thank you for accepting to serve your country, your motherland. You have written the entire tax policy of this country, that it was obsolete, archaic, and fundamentally against every progressive thinker. You are just a very dedicated and highly determined individual. It is a very challenging job to look at the fiscal policy and responsibility that comes with it at the time that economic stability is being experienced, but without exponential growth. It is always very difficult, but you feed the bill.
So I'm grateful to Mr. President, but also very grateful to the generality of the Nigerian people, particularly stakeholders that have been very supportive of the work we've done to date. But you know, they say reforms are only as good as the paper on which they are written. What is really important is the diligent execution, and this is part of it, to move from policy formulation to execution. So we're very excited and looking forward to the challenges ahead.
This time, Taiwo Oyedele will be involved with the execution of policies. All his life has been all about formulations and drawing up a framework on paper. But with his experience and expertise, it won't be a big problem for him settling down. To other issues now, who do we believe, the police or the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, after some armed men were arrested around the vicinity of the airport in Akure. Conflicting claims have emerged over a reported security breach near the Akure airport in that state. While the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria earlier in a statement they issued announced the arrest of 4 suspected bandits around the airport perimeter, the Ondo State Police Command says the report is false and that no such incident occurred at the facility.
There are no bandits. There are 2 suspected logistics suppliers to all those criminals, kidnappers were arrested along Eleyowo, within Eleyowo and Luabu Aziz. The one other one was arrested at Luabu, but that one is not connected to the first 2, and they are presently in police custody. So they were never arrested at the airport, contrary to the press statement made by the fund management staff.
We'll go for a break now. When we come back, we will delve into our discourse, and the topic is Nigeria's blue economy, how far after 3 years? Do stay with us.
Just acted like a monarch emperor by saying, you provoke me, and I want to tell you that the only thing is elections are voluntary. You will be a registered voter. It's not compulsory for you to vote. So if you like, you can vote or not vote. You can stay in your house, on your bed on the election day and not vote. It will not stop the election from proceeding. It will not stop declaration and so on. And by the way, I am in the majority. And as long as I'm in the majority, I will have my say. At the same time, I will have my way. You are opposition. You will only have your say. You won't have your way. So just like to hell with you.
That's what the president...
That was what the president told us.
To your hearing?
To our hearing. Even if you call the APC chairman to be here, he will tell you the same thing.
So what did you make out of it?
The issue is we felt this is somebody who felt I have already decided the way to go, and there is no going back. Whether Nigerians like it or not, we want to go through the election like this, and whatever happens, they have to bear with it, whatever happens and so on. But it's not. It is democracy, and this one is...
So the president said, I will have my way.
I will have my way.
So does it mean that he will win the election? Is that the meaning?
He's virtually concluded that. I will have my way. I have the majority. Where is the majority? Because the MC started by saying that already, Mr. President, you are the best thing that happened to democracy. As a result, you have 21 governors, but now that you are a president and you have 11 more, so you are having only 31 or 32 governors. So it's almost a concluded. That was at the MC as a prelude or a preamble to whatever. Then the president capped it off with that. We have the majority, and it's about democracy, and it's about majority. So the president is not even conscious of saying that I emerged by less than 9% of the registered voters that voted me.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Thank you so much for staying with us. My guest is here, Elder Asubex. He is the convener of a body in Nigeria that is indeed notable for issues in the maritime sector. The maritime sector, as you know, is one that is not fully tapped within the sector. And so when people come together to set standards and report issues in that sector in form of elders, Maritime Elders Forum, then you begin to take them seriously. Elder Asubex, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I've been yearning for this specialized ministry because, as they say, there's a popular saying that the sea never dry, and this is one of the sectors. You see what is happening in the Gulf. This war between Iran and the U.S. on one side. Iran versus U.S. This war between Iran, US Iran and then Israel. So if you see what is happening, it is the activities in the maritime sector that is dominating the global politics and business. You see, because if you look at that strait, the state of Hormuz, that is over 20% of either crude or container vessels pass through that strait. So this is a sector that is key to the economic evolution of Nigeria. And we can't, as an elder, as the convener of the Maritime Elders Forum, we can't stop thanking Mr. President for this bold initiative in creating a specialized Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. But the only problem, the only challenge I have here is that you gift me a car. You say, Asubex, this is your car. And then you hold back the key that will make me take full occupation of the car and put the car to use. So why am I saying so? This marine and blue economy sector is the only sector that does not have an economic regulator.
Should I have come first? Because I know for any sector to thrive, there has to be a regulator that will set the standards, supervise framework and all that.
Exactly.
So is the sector floating as it were? Is it hovering up?
Hovering. Just this week, last week, I was at a function on this National Single Window project, and I asked the coordinator of the National Single Window project, I said, look, this is a beautiful, National Single Window is busy. It's beautiful, but where are you guys going to be when the regulator, there's no economic regulator for that sector? I said, because now we have a new tax regime. We have a new tax policy. And so when the bill for the economic regulator for the Nigerian maritime sector is signed, that means there are going to be charges. There are going to be rates.
Is there a bill to that effect?
It's a bill. It's been with the Mr. President for over a year, waiting for his by the National Assembly, both chambers. I was at the public hearing, but not signed. And the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Shippers Council, Barrister Pius Akuta, I can tell you that he's the most depressed man in that sector today because the bill it says that the Nigerian Shippers Council will now transform into that economic regulatory role. And so I begin to ask, what will it took the president less than 24 hours, of course, to sign the Electoral Act bill. And so why will this bill, that is the life wire of the maritime economy, be there, going back and forth?
Maybe there are some aspects, some provisions the president is uncomfortable with.
See, the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Oyetola, I'm aware, put together an interministerial committee to look at the gray areas because, their interests, people want to maintain their empires. The NPA, Nigerian Ports Authority, to remain. Nigerian Ports Authority wants to make sure that when that Shippers Council takes that role, it's not consumed by Shippers Council. Of course not. NIMASA is also there, and the other agencies. So there was an interministerial committee put together by the minister And this thing was supervised by the former permanent secretary in that ministry to look at the gray areas. And in doing that, they also brought members of the National Assembly team, legal teams, legal experts from all chambers to say, yes, this, no, this, yes. And so I'm surprised. I'm surprised that
perhaps it wasn't an executive bill. It didn't come from the president.
it was sponsored by the Speaker of the House.
So therein lies the problem, because this is an initiative the executive should take. You should envisage and anticipate the need for a regulator, design a bill in the mode you expect, and send to the National Assembly. When it comes from outside the executive, a private member being in the form of a speaker, I don't know the level of consultations that was done by the National Assembly.
Are we looking about
the executive?
Are we looking at the messenger or the message?
I'm looking at the process.
Because the process was a thorough process. Thorough. Because a former managing director of Nigerian Ports Authority, Are Adebayo Sarami, who was also at that public hearing because I attended, said after the concessioning of the ports, the next thing to follow would have been this economic regulator. That's almost 20 years after, more than 20 years after that.
So the operators are serving as regulators.
Exactly.
Combining dual role. Like
dual role,
we had
yes.
NNPC do in the petroleum sector, we had NITEL do in the telecom sector then,
yes.
Before all the reforms came in.
The role, if you look at MP, Nigerian Ports Authority today, of course, we call them the ports landlord. They are supposed to be like the technical regulator, while the Nigerian Shippers Council is supposed to be the economic regulator. So we need, Mr. President, I want to use the opportunity to appeal to Mr. President, please, there should be no further delay. And I understand that even this your trip to the UK, yes. Things about port, infrastructure upgrade will come up, and so we need to.
Yes, during the visit that will commence on Wednesday, though the president is expected to get into UK today, the signing of a £746 million financing deal between the UK Export Finance and the Nigerian Ports Authority to support the refurbishment of the Lagos Port Complex and Tinkan Island ports.
So how can we thank Mr. President enough for this show of support for this sector? But that amount, it should not be restricted to Lagos ports, because the ports in the east are also begging for attention.
Now, the Ports Authority is the one operating the ports in Apapa. There are other private platforms now, Grimandi and all that. And as other deep sea ports are now being established, no agency, no institution regulating operations, setting standards and all that.
Yes, you see, so you now talked about deep sea ports. On the 30th of this month, March, at the Oriental, the Maritime Media Limited, where I'm CEO, is bringing together an investment forum for international deep-sea port promotion. You see, the story of port development in Nigeria started in the 19th century. Of course, from then around in 1909, government saw the need, the colonial masters saw the need for us to create the infrastructure, saw the need to create infrastructure for ships to begin to berth. And so that was what gave rise to the Apapa port. And then, of course, a few years later, the issue of Apapa port, 4 berths were established. At that time, this was in 1921. At that time, in 1913, coal was a very rich commodity in the East. So the Port Harcourt port came on stream in 1913.
For purposes of
exporting. But now, because we are in a world that is evolving, now you see that those who are constructing vessels now go for bigger vessels. And so we are now faced ourselves in a situation where in Nigeria, most of the ports are river ports. That is 8 meters draft,
So big vessels can come in?
Yes, big
and I
vessels.
heard in our neighboring countries, Togo, Lomé, they have deep sea port, forcing these huge levels to bed there, then transship to smaller ones.
To smaller ones. And for all you care, those cargoes that are going to Tema, going to Lomé, going to Benin, they're all destined for Nigeria. So this is where I am asking the governors from the coastal states to come together, to wake up. This issue of deep sea port, because, of course, the more you delay, the more the cargo is going to some other ports.
And perhaps they have woken up now. There's a deep sea port in Lekki. It's operational now by Lagos State government, I guess.
Let me
then Ondo State is thinking of
Lekki deep sea port. That's why
Bayelsa, Akwa Ibom, name
yes,
them.
they are all waking up. And I call them these coastal governors, the governors who saw tomorrow. And for the event coming up in Lagos on the 30th of March, I specifically picked the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Dr. Ebele Goodluck Jonathan. I call him the father of deep sea port development. The Lekki that we are celebrating today, the contract for this was signed in 2011 when the former president was president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So we are asking him to come and talk to, especially the governors from his own fellow Niger Delta State. Look, wake up. If it is so difficult, because now the capital, these are not projects that state governments can go into the coffers and bring. The PP arrangement, investors are there all over, looking for these, opportunities to come and invest. And so there's no bank in Nigeria that can bring out $2 billion to give to Amechi or Asubex.
It will erode their capital base.
But the investors are there. So now, what do? You have to look inwards. If, for instance, Cross River and Akwa Ibom decide to put their heads together and say, okay, let's put our heads together, instead of going our separate ways to say, I want, Bakassi Seaport or Ibom, what stops them from partnering? And then one other thing is that, like in the case of Bayelsa, of course, Agay is a national drought of about 12 meters. And so it's easier for ship. Look at the Brass LNG is there, fertilizer is there. And then, of course, because
these are products begging for export terminals.
Exactly. And then, of course, don't forget about the issue of fishing. We can establish fishing terminals, like a deep sea port project or city, and also open up
international investment.
Yes.
Now, what these terms of these plans for deep sea port? Because I've been hearing of these plans for years. Has moved, any of them moved from the plan on the table to the site, as it were?
I'm happy to tell you that these governments that you mentioned, the Honorable Minister of Marine and Blue Economy has been a rallying point. It's been on their neck. I can tell you that my governor, Doediri, has been there. They are talking, they are discussing. The Ondo State governor, he has also been there. Adapa Biodun, Basi, Umo, all of them have on one in the last 12 months. So
they're still talking?
No, not talking. Because the do's and don'ts on how to go about this has to come from the Federal Minister of Marine and Blue Economy and the Nigerian Ports Authority.
It's still under the exclusive list?
No, because we're having a private PP, but there is going to be PP arrangement.
Yes.
Because in all of this,
come from the federal government.
Yes, final approval. But in all of them, the federal government will be represented by the Nigerian Ports Authority, then of course the various state governments, and then the private investors. So it's a PPP arrangement. And we hope that they will respond to our invitations, because we have sent invitations to all of them to come on that day, and so that we can talk. The Honorable Minister has also told me, Asubex, I will be with you on that day. So, because he sees that. But let me also tell you something, Amaechi. This project has been in the pipeline for more than 10 years. I've tried this 4 times. This is the 4th time. First of all, I tried to partner with Nigerian Ports Authority. It didn't work. I was not discouraged. Then I went to the House Committee on Marine Transportation in the Federal House of Representatives. It didn't work. During Amaechi's time, I now tried with the Minister of Transportation. So I now told myself that this time around, it will work. And then with the encouragement...
Perhaps
yes, with the
existence of a marine economy ministry.
Yes, and then with the support that I'm getting from the Bayelsa State Governor, Doediri, the words of encouragement, and of course not forgetting the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Goodluck. And then, most importantly, the PANDEF chairman, Dr. God knows Igali. He has said, ASUBEX, this must work.
And if it works, it's not for the benefit of ASUBEX. It's the benefit of the Nigerian economy.
Exactly.
How many deep sea ports do we have operational in Nigeria now?
Well, if you say deep port, like I told you earlier, most of the ports we have around are river ports. So in technical terms, the really deep sea port that we have in operation now is Lekki. It's Lekki. And Lekki alone.
Is it adequate?
No, that's why we are saying, because up to now, because we are sleeping. And do you even blame these governors? Because the infrastructure deficit for these states that are prospecting deep sea ports is almost about $14 billion. And it takes nothing less than $2 billion for you to, for the Bakassi, we are talking about over $4-point-something billion. For Badagry. Badagry has been in the pipeline for 60 years. 60 years, Badagry deep sea port. And the Lagos State government haven't successfully launched the Lekki. They are also now moving into...
So issue of decentralization of our port operation is where we start from after we come back from this break. Do stay with us.
I was the returning officer of Buhari in 2014 in Lagos when he became the candidate.
That's during the party
During the party primaries. It is God and Tinubu that gave him the ticket.
God first?
Yes, God first, Tinubu second.
What role did Tinubu play?
Exactly. You see, that time, Kwankwaso was governor of Kano State, including my state, Jigawa. Kano and some parts of the northwestern part of the country did not vote for Buhari. He lost some votes there, what I'm saying. But all the votes in the southwest were driven by Tinubu. PDP is dead, honestly, and it's their own making. Simple, that's just it. And we are just harvesting their incapacity to manage their internal crisis. And in every party, you find crisis. But they couldn't manage their crisis, so we are harvesting that. And we're lucky that they couldn't get their acts together. So I call on my brother, you know, and also my other brother in Bauchi State, you know.
Who visited the president last year?
Yes, I am also advising him, calling on him to please come to APC. And I promise now on behalf of my party, I will talk to each and every one of them. I'm quite close to all of them. I will advise them that they should please come and join us so that this country will, you know, continue in the good step. We cannot be a party to making this country one party state. We don't like it. We don't want it because there is no democracy.
But that's why we're heading.
Well, listen, there is no democracy without opposition. Simple. And nobody tells you that with all these governors coming, that we shall win the election. Nobody knows. I mean, the people will decide in the long run. So, but then, what do you expect us in APC to do? If any governor wanting to join us, we'll tell him no. No. But just like what I told you, it's their own making. PDP was the biggest opposition, but they did what they did, starting from the convention of 2023. Well, when we were in opposition, there is nothing we didn't do in this country, you know, to oppose. We refused to join the way some of them were joining. But why they are joining is because they have no party, no platform, really. So that is not their fault also. I mean, what I'm saying is not our fault, it's their fault.
Thank you so much for staying with us. I've been speaking with Elder ASUBEX, convener and Maritime Elders Forum, and he has been taking a look at Nigeria's blue economy, marine and blue economy. A ministry coming up for the first time about 3 years ago, in the advent of the Tinubu administration. His evaluation of the sector in the past 3 years has been a huge success, except for one, the absence of a regulatory institution to supervise and set standards for that sector. But I promise while we're going on the break that when we come back, issue of decentralization of port operations. Lagos has 1, 2, 3 ports, deep sea one in Lekki, Badagry an option, and there's this hue and cry about decentralization. Take the load off Lagos. Look at Port Harcourt, look at Calabar, look at Bayelsa, look at Ondo, the shorelines there. They all have the capacity, but it appears to be all rhetorics and few action.
Nigeria has a coastline of over 853 kilometers, and now most of this portion of this shoreline are in the Niger Delta. And as a true Niger Delta son, I'm disturbed. That is the motivation for putting this summit together. The state governors, they need to put on their thinking cap. Some people are saying that, oh no, where is the cargo? No, there's nothing like where is the cargo. Nigeria is the destination. In fact, if you look at the West and Central African sub-region, over 65% of cargo meant for this region is destined for Nigeria. And so why should we not take advantage of
meant for Nigeria, but in these other countries?
But in these other countries. And
so the cargo is there?
The cargo is there. The cargo is there. All they need to do, maybe because past governors were thinking that, will I be able to construct this in my time? Will I be able to commission? But you see, government is a continuum. The governor of Lagos State that is taking credit for Lekki today wasn't there when the contract was signed. So because the likes of former Governor Tinubu, who is now president, saw tomorrow. And
so the same should apply to governors of coastal states? In fact, if I were there,
because from the figures from Nigerian Ports Authority for 2025, 40% of cargo throughput, that is export-import, for this year, all came from Lekki. So that's to tell you how fast the port is.
So Lekki Deep Sea Port has picked up.
It's picked up. And then don't also forget, Dangote is also looking at Olokola in Ogun State. In fact, he has said he's going to be the biggest deep sea port in Ogun because, of course, he needs a port to evacuate his cargo, petrochemicals, fertilizer, and of course, the day I went there sometime last year on a facility tour, I saw vessels from Brazil, from all over the world, waiting to pick up fertilizer.
Refined products.
Yes, fertilizer.
Now, okay, from the
fertilizer. Yeah,
if I were the governor of Bayelsa State, when the issue of that airport was built, because it's not active, that fund should have gone into PPP for a deep sea port.
Yes, let me tell you a story. Some few years back, I went to the country home of the former governor of Bayelsa State, distinguished Senator Henry Serake Dixon, to just pay me a courtesy visit. So as I was leaving, he called me back. He said, Asubex, I know your passion for this Agege Deep Sea Port project. Please, can you put a team together and go and see Governor Doidiri? Because I know your passion, so that let's see how we can set up a technical committee. He said I fucked up. There are a lot of things that I was supposed to do during my 8 years tenure as governor to promote that port, but I didn't do enough. But Doidiri can take off from where. So immediately I got back to Lagos, I put a team together, headed by the person who was former chairman of that technical committee, Captain Eniswo Waredi. Waredi is the current executive director, at Tantita. All these wins you are seeing, Tantita is scoring all over the place, is Waredi. So we went. There was one Ambassador Ramon, also went and saw the governor and said, look, Heshi, let's fast track this. I know that you have so many things to do, so many things on your hand to do. Let's fast track this. And so from that day till now, I'm aware that he has not had any sleep. It's just that the last meeting I had with him in Bayelsa early this year, he said, Asubex, I can assure you that the flag off of Agege Deep Sea Port will happen during my tenure as governor. The Oediri is going on Valentine's Day in 2028. So, and of course, it's working on that
So he has barely 2 years to actually.
Yes, he's working. And
Long
I know
time
that,
enough, if you ask him.
Yes. Even though the project will not be complete during his tenure, but the flag off means take off. So.
I can imagine the impact it will make on businesses in the southeast.
That will be the hope.
Deep sea port,
Yes,
it will take the pressure off Lagos, and it's closer to the markets in the south
In the south
and southeast.
Yes. And even when we're coming out with this project, I had a chat with the chairman of the BRICS committee, Ambassador Keshi. He said,
together, they can put in place a deep sea port.
The same thing I'm talking about, of course, we didn't talk about the Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund, of course. Cabotage Vessel Finance, yes, which NIMASA has opened a platform. You can imagine that if that fund has been utilized after its establishment about 20 years ago, most Nigerians will have their own ships. And the primary reason why NIMASA was established was to promote indigenous shipping. They have not done that. You can imagine a situation where we have the Nigerian football.
Indigenous shipping companies?
Yes. No, indigenous shipping. That is people owning vessels.
Yes, shipping companies.
Yes. So now you can imagine a situation where we have a Nigerian Football Association. Then we don't have footballers. We don't have football team. So now look at my thoughts. I said, even though the law says that for you to benefit from the Capital Vessel Financing Fund, you must be a contributor. So what also stops the coastal states, some of them, from saying, look, we can put our heads together, Bayelsa, Delta, and Rivers, for instance, can say, look, we also want to have a vessel. Please go to the National Assembly, amend this act, so that those of us from the coastal states can also come together and say, look.
What's the size of that fund now?
The fund, we have been told for several years that it's $700 million. Meanwhile,
lying fallow.
It's more than that, because every day people are contributing. That fund is like an ATM fund, because every ship that comes into Nigeria pays a particular percent into that fund. And so if
it's not utilized legitimately, someday some persons may connive and...
I can tell you, even right now, some of us are even fears. If the fund is even intact.
There's that possibility it may not be intact.
It may not be intact.
Because there was this fund in the aviation sector too, and several of such funds exist in many sectors where operators contribute funds towards the development of that sector on indigenous basis. After some time, they just grow in and fly away.
And in the contrary, go and see what local content is doing. Local content is doing fantastically well under a similar arrangement. They are supporting indigenous ship owners. But I'm surprised that NIMASA has not been able to. So, but we're hoping that, I've told the minister, when I made one-on-one, I said, please, Honorable Minister, one thing that I want you to take credit for during your tenure is the disbursement of the Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund.
$700 million up to $1 billion.
It's not bad, but you see the funny thing about it, that figure has been running for almost 2 years. So how can it be $700 million?
It should be more.
It should be more.
It should be more. It should be accruing interest and all that. Like I said, there are so many other areas where these funds exist. Nigerians have forgotten that they exist in the first place.
No, it's true.
The only time they hear of it, if there's an allegation that has been frittered away and all that.
Then
so it beholds on those overseeing these ministries, agencies, to see to their actual utilization for national interests.
Politics. Politics. Because the politicians, when they come in, the first thing, Honorable Minister, there's this fund somewhere, how much is there? How much is there? You know? And of course, you never can say what happens.
Fritters away. Now, there's also this, talking about things that are lying idle, not well utilized. The funds, the Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund. There's this also the floating dock for port operation acquired by NIMASA, lying idle, multi-billion naira.
That is, you call that the shame of a nation. because I asked, this is the third administration now, after the NIMASA took delivery of that vessel, of that floating dock almost 10 years ago. It has moved from Naval Dockyard to the Continental Shipyard owned by Nigerian Ports Authority, and then so right now it's somewhere around the Snake Island. And of course, every day it is depreciating. You can't acquire such a document. So I was at a program not too long ago with another 60 stations. I said, look, I know for sure that that program, that floating dock was meant for training facilities at the Maritime University of Kerekoko. But as soon as the Buhari administration came in, the Honorable Minister of Transportation then, Rotimi Amechi, didn't see that thing going to Kerekoko as a priority. In fact, he almost stopped also the takeoff of the Maritime University, but for the takeoff, for the intervention of the former vice president. And so that's why the university took off. So I began to wonder, now, sorry, your namesake is in ADC now. He wants to be president. There's a transport university that is supposed to be in Ubima, his own village. Do you know where he moved it to? He moved it to former President Buhari's hometown. So
that's Daura?
Yes.
The one built by the Chinese?
Yes. That thing was originally earmarked. And I asked, I sit down and ask, 8 years. 8 years of Amechi, what did you bring to the Niger Delta?
He will tell you.
And you want to be president. I told somebody the other day, I told one of my colleagues.
Just hold on.
Yes.
He will count so many things he has done for the Nigerians. Because he's not here to defend himself, so maybe we can put him aside.
I told somebody, a colleague, I said, if that's, I may not like Wike style of, but if Wike had 8 years as Minister of Transportation, you would have seen what transformation he has done. But we have not lost hope, because I'm hoping that the current minister will do, even though he calls himself, he says, I am strategically slow. But because he's a great listener.
Like former President Buhari will say, he's slow but steady.
So Tantita is there. Concession this floating dock to Tantita. Or if you don't want to give it to Tantita, take it to its original destination, which is the Maritime University in Kerekoko.
It should be to the university because it will be a platform for practical knowledge.
Exactly, and that is Nigeria's pioneer
maritime operations.
Yes, that's Nigeria's pioneer Maritime University. That was the original destination when the former DG, Patrick Akpoblokaimi, came with that idea of the floating dock.
And so let's go back to the deep sea port, because you and I know he holds the key to our economic development and enhancement. And I talked about airports, that if I were the governor of Bayelsa, the funds that went into that airport I would have put them into a deep sea port. But we are seeing airports across the country now.
It was the former Governor Dixon who
yes, beyond Bayelsa, Abia is building. Ebonyi has, not operational commercially. Ekiti State has. Ogun State is building or has completed. It's everywhere now. Airports will now dot the skyline of Nigeria. Many of them not viable.
Well, so governors see these airports as, how do I want to describe it now? Maybe a show of ego, we have arrived, we all have our airport. I remember in those days when the idea of an airport first came when former President Jonathan was governor of Bayelsa. He didn't see the need for an airport at that time. But as time went on, you now discover that he will arrive Port Harcourt and take a long drive from Port Harcourt to Yenagoa. And so that was why when the former Governor Dixon came with this idea of the Bayelsa International Airport, all of us supported it because you don't know Nigeria. Nobody knows tomorrow.
In terms of security?
I don't know. Nobody knows tomorrow. So hold your own. You say, bam, from my airport, I won't need to travel from here to Warri or Port Harcourt to take off.
That's the meaning of my name, Amechi. Nobody knows tomorrow. But we know Nigeria will remain one and indivisible entity.
We pray so. We pray so. We pray so. Then, this statement you made has reminded me of something. Now, if we look at our assets in the solid mineral sector, it's over $700 billion.
Much more than oil and gas?
Yes. And then for the oil sector, we are talking about 210 trillion metric tons, cubic feet of gas, which will keep us, will be there for our next 94 years. And so now we are seeing the pipeline contracts given to Tantita, you know, causing so much, oh, why should we? Then, I mean, look at the 2024-2025 budget of the Nigerian Navy. It is within their mandate, that's still right, to protect our waterways. Over 400 billion. So what you are giving Tantita to do that job is just 10%.
Is it 10%? Because
they are delivering.
Based on NNPC's books, about how many trillion went into pipeline-related security?
No. You see,
is it 19 trillion?
What I see.
So he's huge. Whether he is worthy of such.
No. What I am saying is that the role Tantita has played, we are talking about having problem with that contract. Why have Nigerians not thought about a solid mineral surveillance contract? Why is the gold, why is the diamond, why is the lithium in the northeast?
Is there a solid mineral surveillance contract?
There's none. So what we are saying that there is a free for all. So it is only the oil.
They're stealing most of it?
Of course. Does it come to the national? It doesn't come to the national.
Even foreign countries, foreigners have joined in the bazaar, as it were. Help yourself.
So then you give that fraction. So then let's even leave the issue of this surveillance contract. Who are those who have the oil wells in the Niger Delta? I know of the richest woman in Africa, Alakija. I can tell you I'm from Bayelsa. I don't know of any corporate social responsibility project that he has in Bayelsa, in Rivers, in Delta, or Akwa Ibom, anywhere.